Interesting in what has flowed out of this is that there's working groups that cut across 3 states, include public and private representation, some nonprofits that are working on some of these topics. It'd be interesting to see if they can do anything about this. Now, we didn't suggest they close Metro down for a day, but we did suggest that they impose a financial plan that would allow some dedicated funding to operate it, and there was some discussion about that yesterday. It wasn't really a new idea, regional sales tax, but it doesn't get much leverage. So this is what we're talking about. In 2010, the federal spending in this region, all federal spending, was roughly 40% of GDP. That circle, that left circle, was $430 billion. The expectation at this point is that in 2030, the federal component will be about 27%. The circle will be about $620 billion. The federal piece is not too much difference. It's $170 billion in 2010, maybe $10–15 billion less in 2020, but the economy gets bigger, and what has changed is that the little brown sector. So if you think of Boston, or if you think of Atlanta, or LA, or San Francisco, or Denver, other more normal cities, all have government centers, and a lot of them have a lot of federal employees there. They're federal centers as well as state capitals in some cases. This is the economy, this brown sector on there that's going from 12% to 19%. That's the non-federally dependent, export-based sector. And it's tiny here. We're still a company town. So let me tell you what's happened. This in 2015 was just, I showed you what happened in 2014. We were 0. We were last place. Detroit was outperforming us. 15 was quite a story here. And why all this happened is not quite clear. So we look at total job growth. In February of 14, we were negative. And we went from a 0, or just 0.6% for all of 14, to in 15 was the best year since 2006. Almost 60,000 new jobs, net new jobs. And it's continued. This goes through February. It's not quite the same level, but gee, we lost a week of work, and at least some people lost time in January. We don't deal with snow too well, and a lot of people stayed home. A lot of work was still done. Our first quarters usually aren't too strong here, as you can look back on. This was a good year by just the job count. What kind of jobs were being added? This is in February. This is February. No, I'm sorry. This is the average for 15. I wasn't going to just show you February. This is just as useful. Almost 60,000 jobs, as I said, for the full year. 17,000 of those were for professional business services. That's the largest, highest average salary sector. That's the best. That's what fills up office buildings in many ways. That is our bread and butter sector. Leisure and hospitality did pretty well too, but 95% of that were restaurants. And it was the local residents going out and eating. Well, this wasn't tourism, this was us. And those are average salaries under 30,000. So that isn't the future, it's part of our economy. Education and health services are our second biggest sector. The growth there is all in health services. Most of it is in home health care, aides, and outpatient services, not MDs, not even RNs. These are LPNs and CMAs. And less. I mean, it says what our challenge is to support this economy, but the driver in this, the 17,000 or so professional business services, is what made the difference. I showed you what that looked like earlier through 14. Well, this is what it looks like through February of 16. And those blue jobs, there's no implication by color here. I don't pick the colors. But the professional, scientific, and technical services and management jobs, these are clearly the jobs that use the muscle between the ears. These are the smart jobs, the ones that are making significant decisions that represent a highly educated, productive workforce. Those are the ones that are filling out that sector, and they're the leading sector. And they're not federally, these are not job growth in federal contractors. Federal contracting went down in 15. Not much from 14, but it went down $200 million.